Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros.
Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show, Action Edition, where we feature an actionable tip that you can use today. And I'm here with my old buddy Larry. Larry, tell us what's been going on.
So today's tip came out of the genesis of one job that I did this week, which I put up a bunch of ceiling fans, which I do on a pretty regular basis, right, John? I mean, we do this. You've been doing faucets lately. You've done a bunch of faucets. I actually have a faucet to do tomorrow, by the way. Not that you need to know that, but I'll be thinking about you as I'm sitting there staring at the bottom of the sink. Anyway, one of the tip is based on, I'm doing all these fans. Well, these weren't we'll call them the typical Hampton Bay fans. They were a more like premium brand, I guess, for lack of a better word. It wasn't a brand that I see very often. And the bottom line here was the deal. I did something that my good buddy John told me to do a long time ago. And that was, Johnny, take it away.
That is go on the, what I always do is I go on the a big box website or whatever, or the manufacturer's website, and pull down the manual and read it the night before. So people will say, hey, I've got these faucets or these fans to install and so on and so forth. And I'll say, can you send me a picture of the box? So I know what model it is and all that. And you go right in and you get the manual, and that way you're off to the races in the morning. It saves you a lot of time.
And aggravation.
Yeah,
for sure. Because I read every manual for everything that I install anymore. And I do it largely because there's always just one little tip, or there's an order of events also, like what goes where. And I can't tell you, like in ceiling fans, for example, there's a small trim ring or something, right? And of course, if you don't put it in the right order, you got to take the whole thing down to put it back up. You got to basically undo everything you've done to put it back up. And that's what I found. That's not what happened in this case, but I did, because I don't deal with this particular fan brand very often. I've seen it before, but I mean, I just hadn't dealt with it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to read these instruction manuals really carefully just to make sure. I will say this, John, when we're doing the plumbing jobs, like any of these sinks and faucets and things, your tip of actually getting a picture and pulling down that manual is critical. And the reason is that plumbing drives me crazy because there's so many different plumbing parts and so many different hookups and so many different, do they come with supply lines or not? Do they, do you need thread tape or not? Do you need, whatever? There's so many alternatives, and it's not all, you assume some things, but it's not always correct, and especially in plumbing. At least that's been my experience.
Well, and the other thing is that, if you go in, put together a chandelier. Yeah, you could stand there. Exactly. You could stand there for about 25 minutes trying to figure out all little pieces and parts when,
the manual gives you that order. Do this, and this, right?
Exactly. And I don't know how many times I've put things up, screwed things together. And then I'm like, oh man, I left this piece off the chain.
Yep.
So for those folks out there, I mean, it saves you a lot of time and the money too. If you quote a job by the job, I'll put up a ceiling fan for whatever it is, 150, 175, I don't know, whatever you guys charge, man, you read the manual the night before, you're off to the races and you're done. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. And don't assume. That's all I'm saying. Don't assume. And definitely too, these are kind of corollary tips too. If you have a really complex piece, like say you're putting together a piece of flat furniture, aka IKEA type furniture, it's flat. Count the hardware bags, count the hardware, make sure there's enough hardware as well on a really complex piece. Even your chandelier that you just used as an example, if there's lots of little parts, before you start putting it together, actually count them out and make sure it matches what the instructions say. Because if you're short by one bolt or one nut, and I've had it happen, that's why I say it. When there's a lot of those things, they'll be short by a nut or two. The last time I did it, actually, it's kind of funny. The last time I did it, I was doing a series of, there were like 3 or 4 things, and they were all the same. I was putting together 3 sets of things. And I get to the first one, or maybe it was the second one. It doesn't matter what order it was in. But anyway, one of them comes up short, right? It was a nut. It literally was one nut. And it was some metric nut that I don't have on the truck, of course, because it's always that way. And but fortunately, because I was doing 3 or 4 in a row, the next bag that I opened in the next package had the extra one in it. I'm like, yeah, somebody's count machine was off here.
Yeah.
But you definitely, if it wasn't for that, I'd have been in a bit of a world of hurt, because I started putting this thing together and didn't count the nuts and bolts, basically don't assume that it's all there, because it's like, because you get to the end of it and it's just yuck,
And I'll tell you, and I think the other thing here is that these now that everything is digitized in this day and age, all the directions and manuals and parts lists and everything are online.
Yep.
And if one of the things is, especially when you get into switches, like light switches and dimmer switches, and I will tell you that I'll throw out something here. Like Lutron has a tremendous site. So if you guys out there that are putting in dimmers or anything else, and you're doing three-way installs and all kinds of stuff, there are all kinds of wiring diagrams on that website. They'll walk you through everything with videos and all kinds of things. So it's a really good resource to go in and be able to pull this stuff up.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why, but like you, those 3-way switches, it should be very simple. It really is very simple, but it confuses me. And to your point, if it's a Lutron switch, I use that Lutron website, and it really works great. Yeah. So those are the tips, read those manuals. I don't care what you're installing. It really doesn't matter. It's worth the 3.5 minutes to go through and read those manuals, and just look through and just say, even if you've done the same type of fan, for example, Johnny, I've done lots and lots of those builder fans, builder grade fans.
Yep.
I still just scan through the things every time just to make sure I get that order right, even though I've put up hundreds of them for myself alone, just in the rental properties, maybe not hundreds, but I've put up 25 of them in rental properties alone. By the way, I love those fans. Anyway, it's a whole separate issue. But I still read the manuals, because all it's got to save me is just one little tiny mistake. So read the instruction manuals. Johnny, people should not forget to check out our handymanpros.com website. You can subscribe to our newsletter. That's on the website. Go to the Contact Us. There's a page that comes up there that says sign up for our newsletter. We send out tips and tricks just like this all the time, and we're going to really start ramping that up coming up here in the very near future. So, lots of little things, content basically that you won't hear or see on our YouTube channel and or on the podcast itself. Also, our Facebook group, that's at Handyman Pros. And as always, you can send us an email. That's questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. And send us an email. We will answer your questions on the air. If you have questions, please don't hesitate. We love to get the feedback, and it gives us show content that we don't have. We develop our content largely from really just being in the field, But if you have a question out there that you need an answer to it, send us an email. We will answer it on the air. We do it a lot. So, anything else? Anything else to add, John?
Nope, that's it. And we are out.
And thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.